Okay, so today we're going to talk about why it's important that every musician sets up their own publishing company through their PRO. All right. And I'm not going to tell you all the details of why. I'm actually going to show you the numbers, and then you're going to be able to make the decision of why it's important for you. Okay. So let me give you an example. Okay. We have John Smith and Susie Smith. They're going to be a married couple. And John and Susie Smith, on the weekends they go and they play shows and stuff like that. Let's say that their total yearly income for the two of them filing jointly is $50,000. Now we're just going to keep these numbers simple. All right. And let's say that this last year, they really worked it hard and they focused heavily on licensing, and they were able to generate $25,000 in royalties, which means that they're also generating $25,000 in publishing royalties. We're going to assume that they own and control their own publishing. Now they have two ways that they can handle this money. Okay. The first way is that they have their $50,000 plus their $25,000 in songwriting royalties. That's $75,000. And if you look at this image that I'm showing you right now, this is showing you the actual tax rates here in America for this year. And you can see that $75,000 fits in the 12% tax bracket. All right. So that first $75,000, that's going to be taxed at 12%. But let's say that they don't have their publishing entity set up. So their publishing money is funneling directly to them, right? It's passing through directly to them. And that's going onto their regular income statement. Okay. So now they went from $75,000 up to $100,000 in income for the year. And what did that do? Well, if we look at this chart, you can see that now they're in the 22% tax bracket. So when it comes to filing their taxes, they're going to be left with $78,000 of net income for the year. That's a pretty good year, right? But now let's look at scenario B. All right. They're going to funnel their money through their publishing entity. So their $50,000 of income plus the $25,000 of songwriting income, that's going to be their gross income filing jointly together. And that's going to be a total of, that's going to be taxed at 12% for a net income for the year of $66,000. Now I want to take a moment and I want to point out something here that I did not point out in scenario one for good reason. And the thing I did not point out in scenario one was the music expenses of $7,500. Now, anytime that you create music, you are going to incur expenses. And in scenario one, without a publishing company, those expenses cannot be written off pre-tax. So those music expenses come after you've been taxed. That's why we dropped from the after-tax total income of $85,000 down to $78,000. Now in scenario two, with your publishing company, you're going to generate $25,000 in publishing royalties, but you can write off those expenses of $7,500 pre-tax. All right. That's going to give you a net business income in the situation of $17,500. That is going to be taxed at the corporate rate of 15%. We're going to subtract that for an after-tax business income of $14,875. We're going to add that to the after-tax personal income of $66,000 for a total take-home money of $80,875. Now, the difference between these scenarios, keeping the numbers extremely simple, is a little over $2,500 already. And again, this is not taking into account any type of personal write-offs or depreciation or any of that kind of stuff that you would naturally have on your income taxes, right? However, you can see already with very, very, very simple numbers, scenario two is already generating more revenue that we actually get to take home and utilize in our life. Now, publishing is very powerful, and by law, the publisher controls the copyright. So another benefit of having your own publishing entity is the actual liability protection that you get through that entity. All right. So let's say that you were to have some lawsuit that came up. We'll say it's a copyright infringement issue. The person who's suing you is only going to be able to get the assets of the actual company. All right. They're not going to be able to come to you and take your home and take your car and take your boat and all the other cool things that you have. The only stuff that they can actually go after and sue would be the assets of your publishing entity. So you as a human being are getting the liability protection, the actual individual liability protection that you're offered by setting up an actual company. All right. So if you're going to set up a little corporation or even an LLC. All right. So that's another benefit that you get. But there's one more benefit as well. At some point, most of us are going to want to buy a house, or we're going to need to buy a car, right? And we're going to need to take out a loan, especially a house. These are, a little bit more expensive than a car. So you're going to need to take out a loan. There are companies out there, companies such as Sound Royalties or Royalty Exchange, which will essentially loan you or buy your royalties. They'll loan you money against your royalties, or they'll buy your royalties from you. This is a great way that we as musicians can leverage our publishing to help us actually invest in other, pieces of property and investments in our life. Okay, so you have Sound Royalties, you have Royalty Exchange. As long as we keep good, solid books for our publishing company, we can leverage that publishing company to generate, income through those companies, or, even if you're doing really good, you could, show that to a bank as well. So those are 3 reasons why having your own publishing company is beneficial. You have the tax, financial aspect, you have the liability coverage, and then you have the opportunities to leverage your publishing for loans or to sell your publishing down the road. All right. Hope that clears that up for you and gets you thinking about setting up your own publishing company. If you have not done one with your PRO, then I highly encourage you this week to set up your own publishing company. All right. We'll see you soon. If you're interested in getting your songs into your favorite films, TV shows, commercials, trailers, and video games, you're going to want to check out the free guide below.